Okay, so you've given us a ton of stuff on AI quality assurance.
Yeah.
Like its guidelines and standards and research papers. Like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
It seems like you really want to dive deep into how to make AI reliable and safe.
Yeah.
Especially as it gets more and more a part of our lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting area because the goalposts keep changing.
Right.
As AI gets more complex,
Yeah.
we need to be more sophisticated about how we ensure its quality, too.
So it's not just like checking off a to-do list or something.
No, not at all.
Same.
Like, for example,
Yeah.
those AI product quality assurance guidelines that you sent me,
Yeah.
they break things down into 5 main areas, but it's not enough for just one area to be strong.
Right.
It's more like a juggling act.
Okay.
You need to keep all the balls in the air.
Gotcha. So walk us through those juggling balls then.
Okay. So the first one is data integrity.
Okay.
And it might seem obvious you need good data to train your AI.
Right.
But it's not just about having a lot of data. It's about having the right data.
Okay.
There was a case study in one of your research papers about facial recognition AI
Okay.
that was trained mainly on images of people with lighter skin.
I think I see where this is going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When it was used in the real world, it was much less accurate
Yeah.
at recognizing people with darker skin tones.
Right.
And that led to some pretty serious problems.
Wow. So data integrity isn't just about the technical stuff.
Right.
It can have real-world consequences.
Yeah, it has real-world consequences.
Yeah. Okay, what's the next one then?
The next area is model robustness.
Okay.
And this is all about making sure that the AI can handle surprises.
Right.
Like unexpected inputs or changes in conditions.
Okay.
So imagine like a self-driving car AI
Yeah.
that has only ever been trained in sunny weather.
Yeah. The first rainy day could be a problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Robustness testing is like making sure that the AI can handle anything you throw at it
Yeah.
without falling apart.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So that's 2 of our juggling balls.
Right.
What's next?
The third one is system quality.
Okay.
And this means that the AI needs to work seamlessly
Yeah.
with all the other systems that it interacts with.
Okay.
So think about like an AI-powered medical diagnosis tool.
Okay. Yeah.
It might be great at analyzing scans,
Right.
but if it can't communicate effectively with the hospital's record system,
Yeah.
it's basically useless.
It's like a 1 weak link in a chain can break the whole thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that leads us to the fourth area,
Okay.
which is process agility.
Okay.
AI development moves really fast.
Yeah.
You need to be able to adapt and learn and improve quickly.
So you can't just like set it and forget it?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
It's more like an ongoing conversation
All right.
between the developers and the AI,
Yeah.
where you're constantly refining and improving it.
Makes sense. And what's the final ball that we're juggling?
The final one, and probably the most important one for users, is customer expectation. At the end of the day, the AI needs to actually meet the needs
Right.
and expectations of the people who are going to be using it.
Yeah, of course. Like if I can't understand what my voice assistant is saying,
Exactly.
then what's the point?
Or if a content generation tool just produces boring, repetitive text,
Right.
it doesn't matter how technically perfect it is.
It got to be useful.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's not enough to just build a technically flawless AI.
Right.
You need to make sure that it actually works for real people in the real world.
I like that framework a lot.
Good.
It's a good way to think about it.
Yeah.
But AI has always been a bit of a mystery to me.
Yeah.
Like there's that black box element.
Right.
Some of your sources, though, seem to be tackling that idea,
Yeah.
like trying to make AI more understandable.
It's a really important area of research,
Yeah.
especially when we're dealing with AI that makes big decisions,
Right.
like, approving loans or
Yeah.
making medical diagnoses.
Or even driving our car.
Yeah, exactly. In those situations, we can't just accept the computer said so as an answer.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
So how do we make AI more transparent then?
Well, that's where explainability and interpretability come in.
Okay.
And there are some really interesting techniques
Yeah.
that are being developed right now to
Yeah.
try to open up that black box
Yeah.
and show us how AI is actually making decisions.
Like those attention mechanisms I read about.
Yeah,
It seems like it's kind of like the AI is highlighting
right.
the parts of the information it focused on to make the decision.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So imagine being able to see which phrases in a loan application
Okay.
or which areas in a medical scan
Right.
the AI thought were the most important.
So it's not just about knowing what decision the AI made.
Right.
It's about understanding why it made that decision.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. And what other techniques are out there?
Well, there's also something called sensitivity analysis.
Okay.
And that's basically testing how sensitive the AI is to different inputs. So, for example, if a small change in your loan application causes a huge change in the AI's decision, that might be a sign that it's relying on something that's not very reliable.
Right. So it's a way of making sure the AI isn't easily swayed by insignificant details.
Yeah. And then there are surrogate models.
Okay.
And these are like simplified versions of the AI that we can actually understand.
Okay.
So it's kind of like translating a really complex mathematical formula into something that a non-mathematician can grasp.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
So these surrogate models help us understand the AI's reasoning.
Exactly.
Even if we don't understand all the complex math behind it.
Exactly. And all of these techniques, they're not just for researchers. They have implications for anyone who builds or uses or even interacts with AI.
Okay. So ultimately, it's about building trust.
Yeah.
Right? Like if we can understand how AI works,
exactly,
we're more likely to trust its decisions, especially in those high-stakes situations.
Especially in those situations.
Yeah. And that trust is going to be crucial as AI becomes even more common in our lives.
It's crucial for AI adoption.
Right now, speaking of interacting with AI, you've also included some research here on voice user interfaces, or VUIs.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about smart speakers and voice assistants and even things like in-car navigation systems.
Yeah, it's a whole different way of interacting with machines.
Right. It's not just typing commands or clicking buttons anymore.
Exactly. And VUIs bring their own set of quality assurance challenges.
Okay.
Because speech is really messy.
Yeah.
It's full of pauses and ums and ahs.
Yeah.
And then you have accents and dialects and background noise.
Right.
All of these things can make it really difficult for the AI to actually understand what you're saying.
Oh, I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
I've had plenty of times where I'm like screaming at my voice assistant because it just can't understand me.
Exactly. And that highlights the first big challenge with VUIs.
Okay.
Speech recognition.
Right. So the AI has to accurately convey those spoken words into text.
Exactly. And that's a lot harder than it sounds.
And then even if it does get the words right, there's the whole issue of understanding what you actually mean.
Exactly.
Like sarcasm or humor or cultural nuances.
Right. All those things can be really hard, even for humans.
Right. Exactly.
So that's the second big challenge.
Gotcha.
Natural language.
Gotcha.
The AI needs to go beyond just recognizing individual words and actually try to understand the context and the intent behind what you're saying.
So it can't just be like a fancy speech-to-text engine.
Right.
It has to actually understand me.
Exactly.
Not just the words I'm saying.
Exactly.
Right.
And then, of course, there's the response. Like, we don't want the AI to just sound like a robot. We want it to sound natural, engaging. Maybe even a little bit empathetic.
Right. Exactly.
It actually understands us.
It goes back to that idea of trust.
Yeah.
Right? If the AI sounds like it gets me,
I'm
more likely to trust what it says.
That's the third challenge.
Okay.
Voice synthesis.
Gotcha.
The AI needs to respond in a way that sounds human.
Right.
You know, with the right tone and emotion and even personality.
So much complexity goes into something that seems so simple on the surface.
Right.
Just talking to a machine.
Yeah, it's a lot more than just simple speech to text.
Yeah, and I'm guessing these challenges are amplified when you start thinking about different environments.
Absolutely.
Right, like using a VUI in a noisy car.
Right, or in a crowded room.
Yeah, versus at home in your quiet living room.
Exactly, and that's why it's so important to test VUIs in those realistic scenarios.
Right.
Because what works in a lab might not work at all in the real world.
Totally. Now, speaking of AI that can create things, we've also got some information here on content generation AI. This is where things get even more interesting.
Yeah, like AI that can create images and videos and even 3D models.
It's like AI is becoming an artist.
It is, and it presents some real challenges for quality assurance.
Right.
Because now we're not just talking about whether the output is technically correct or factually accurate.
Right.
We're talking about things like creativity and naturalness.
Okay. So how do you measure something like creativity?
It's tricky.
Yeah.
You need to consider things like, does it look and feel like something a human would create?
Okay.
Or does it have that sort of computer-generated feel?
Gotcha.
And then there's alignment with human intent.
Okay.
You know, did the AI actually capture the style and the emotion
Right.
and the overall message that the user is going for?
Right. Or did it totally miss the mark?
Exactly.
Right.
So evaluating this kind of AI, it involves a lot more subjective judgment.
Right.
You can't just rely on numbers.
Yeah.
You need to get feedback from humans.
Right.
You need to get expert opinions.
Right. It's like AI is blurring the lines between technology and art.
It is.
Okay, cool. Well, this is all super fascinating.
Yeah.
And it seems like these quality assurance challenges are popping up in all sorts of industries.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like
self-driving cars. And
yeah, self-driving cars.
I even saw an article here about AI being used in anime production.
It's being used everywhere.
Yeah.
And each application has its own unique considerations.
Right. So there's no one-size-fits-all approach to AI quality assurance.
The techniques you use will depend on the industry and the specific application and how risky it is.
Okay. And speaking of risks, we can't forget about those large language models.
Right.
Or LLMs.
Yeah, the ones behind ChatGPT and Bard.
They seem to be able to talk about anything.
They do, which is amazing.
It is. But they also introduce a whole new level of complexity.
Right, because now we're not just worried about whether the AI can answer a trivia question correctly.
Right.
We're worried about things like hallucination, right, where they make stuff up and present it as fact.
Yeah, and that can be really dangerous.
It can be very dangerous.
Especially if people are relying on them for information.
Absolutely. And then there's bias.
Okay.
Because these LLMs, they're trained on massive data sets of text.
Yeah.
And that text reflects all the biases that exist in society.
Right. So we have to make sure they're not perpetuating harmful stereotypes.
Exactly. And then there's security.
Okay.
LLMs can be vulnerable to attacks.
Right.
Where malicious users try to trick them into doing something harmful.
It's like we're in the Wild West of AI right now.
It is.
Like incredible potential, but also a lot of risks that we need to be aware of.
Absolutely.
So how do we evaluate these more complex aspects of LLM quality?
That's what a lot of the research you gave me is focused on.
Okay.
And it's a rapidly changing field.
Right.
We need to keep up with the challenges as LLMs get even more powerful.
It's fascinating to think that our understanding of what quality even means has to evolve as AI evolves.
It does.
It's not just about factual accuracy anymore.
Right.
It's about truthfulness and responsibility and security.
It's about all of those things.
Wow. Okay, so I've covered a lot of ground here already.
We have.
But it's clear that ensuring AI quality is a multifaceted challenge.
It is.
And it's only going to get more challenging as AI becomes more intertwined with our lives.
Exactly. But your research provides a really good foundation for understanding the key areas to focus on.
Okay.
Whether you're building AI systems, using them, or just curious about how they work.
Totally. Now, here's a thought.
Okay.
As AI keeps evolving, our understanding of what quality means will also need to evolve.
Right.
So what new challenges and opportunities will come up as AI becomes even more powerful and widespread?
It's a great question.
Yeah, it's something to think about.
It is.
Okay, so we've talked about the 5 key areas of AI quality assurance.
Right.
Those juggling balls. That was a great analogy, by the way. We've explored some of the techniques for making AI more transparent.
Right.
Opening up that black box.
Yep.
We've looked at the challenges of VUIs, which is how we talk to AI. And we've even touched on this emerging world of AI-generated content.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. It's a lot to take in, but it's all super fascinating.
It is.
And it's clear that AI quality assurance is a massive field.
Huge and rapidly evolving.
And it requires us to think really deeply.
Yes.
Not just about the technical stuff, but also about the ethics and the social implications.
And the philosophical implications.
And the philosophical implications of this really powerful technology.
Exactly.
So it's not just about making sure the AI works.
Right.
It's about making sure it works for good.
Exactly, for the benefit of all humanity.
Well said.
Thank you.
So that brings us to the end of part 1 of our deep dive into AI quality assurance.
Sounds good.
We'll be back soon with part 2.
Looking forward to it.
Where we'll explore some of those broader implications in even more detail.
Great.
So stay tuned.
I will. We were talking about how AI quality assurance is a global thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see how different cultures approach it.
Yeah.
For example, you've got some research here about AI quality assurance in Japanese manufacturing.
Right. Yeah, I remember seeing that. What stood out to you about that?
Well, there's this really strong emphasis on documentation.
Okay.
And process control. Like every single step of the AI development process is carefully recorded and analyzed.
Wow. So it's like they have this detailed audit trail for every decision and every line of code.
Exactly.
And every test they run.
Yeah, it's like having a detective.
Okay.
Meticulously piecing together all the clues to solve a crime.
Just solve a crime. Okay.
By understanding exactly how something went wrong,
you
can prevent it from happening again.
So it's not just about catching errors. It's about preventing them in the first place.
Exactly. And this approach to documentation, it also creates this culture of transparency and accountability.
Gotcha.
So everyone involved knows that their work is being carefully examined, which encourages them to maintain really high standards.
And this focus on quality, is that like a specifically Japanese thing?
Well, it's definitely deeply ingrained in Japanese manufacturing culture.
Gotcha.
It's part of their philosophy of Kaizen, which is all about continuous improvement, every aspect of a business.
So it's interesting how those cultural values can influence the way people approach AI quality assurance.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So we've talked about cultural influences.
Right.
And we've also talked about some of the technical challenges.
Like data integrity and model robustness.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But one area we haven't really explored yet is the human side of AI quality assurance.
Right. And that's a really crucial aspect because no matter how advanced AI gets, it's still a tool that's created by humans and used by humans. So we need to make sure that AI systems are aligned with human values and needs.
That's a good point. It's easy to get so caught up in the technical stuff that we forget that it's all about serving humans in the end.
Exactly. And that's why human feedback is so important throughout the whole AI development process. We need to involve users and domain experts and other stakeholders to evaluate the AI and tell us how it's performing.
So it's not just engineers and data scientists working in a vacuum.
Exactly. We need to bring in diverse perspectives to make sure the AI is actually meeting people's needs.
And human feedback is also important for shaping the AI's behavior, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And teaching it what to do.
Yeah, by providing rewards and penalties for different types of outputs, we can guide its learning and make sure it's aligned with our values and expectations.
So we're not just building AI systems. We're also teaching them and shaping their behavior.
It's like raising a child. We need to provide guidance and feedback and correction to help it develop into a responsible member of society.
It's a good analogy. So let's recap for a second. We've got these technical aspects of AI quality assurance, like data integrity and robustness. We've got the cultural influences.
Like that Japanese Kaizen philosophy.
Exactly. And then we've got the human element.
Right. Incorporating feedback from all those different stakeholders.
That's a lot to think about.
It is. It's a very holistic approach that recognizes how complex AI systems really are.
And it seems like it's only going to get more complex.
Oh, definitely.
As AI gets even more sophisticated and more integrated into our lives.
Absolutely. But it's an exciting time to be working in this field. We have this incredible opportunity to shape the future of AI.
And to make sure that it's used for good.
Exactly, for good.
Well said. Okay, so speaking of specific ways that AI is being used, you've included some fascinating stuff here. About AI in healthcare.
Right. It's an area with huge potential to really make a difference in people's lives.
It's amazing to think about all the possibilities.
It is.
But I imagine that quality assurance is even more crucial in healthcare.
Oh, absolutely.
Than in other fields.
The stakes are much higher.
Right, because any errors or malfunctions could have really serious consequences for patients.
Exactly. You don't want the AI to misdiagnose someone.
Right, or recommend the wrong treatment.
Exactly. So what are some of the key things to consider? When you're trying to ensure the quality of an AI system that's being used in healthcare. Well, one of the most important things is data integrity. The AI needs to be trained on really high-quality data that's accurate and representative of the real world.
Makes sense if it's learning from bad data,
Yeah.
it's going to make bad decisions.
Exactly. And it's not just about the quality of the data. It's
Sure.
also about making sure that the data is diverse.
Diverse,
So that it reflects the diversity of
Yeah.
the patients that the AI will be used to treat.
So, for example, if the AI is only trained on data from men,
Right.
it might not be as accurate for women.
Exactly. That's why it's so important to have data sets
Yeah.
that represent all different kinds of people.
And I'm guessing explainability is also super important in healthcare.
Oh, it's crucial.
Yeah.
Doctors need to be able to understand
Yeah.
how the AI is making its decisions.
Yeah.
They can't just blindly trust it.
It's not about replacing doctors with AI.
Right.
It's about giving doctors more information.
Exactly. It's about augmenting their abilities,
Okay.
not replacing them.
Okay, so we've got data integrity
Right.
and explainability.
Uh-huh.
What other things do we need to think about?
Well, robustness is another big one.
Okay.
AI systems in healthcare need to be able to handle unexpected inputs,
Right.
noisy data, even adversarial attacks.
Okay, so what does that mean in a healthcare context?
Well, it could mean anything from a corrupted medical image
Okay.
to a hacker trying to manipulate the AI's recommendations.
That's scary.
It is, the stakes are high.
Yeah. So how do you make sure that these systems are robust enough?
Well, they use a lot of different techniques,
Okay.
like rigorous testing and validation.
Yeah.
And they also use things like adversarial training,
Okay.
where they deliberately expose the AI
Yeah.
to those kinds of attacks.
So they're basically training it to expect the unexpected.
Exactly. And they also incorporate human oversight
Okay.
into the decision-making process,
So there's a human in the loop.
especially in those really high-stakes situations.
Right.
So, for example, a doctor might need to review the AI's recommendations
Oh.
before they're actually implemented.
It's a delicate balance, isn't it?
It is.
Between leveraging the power of AI,
Right.
but also maintaining that human control.
Exactly.
Especially in healthcare where mistakes can be so costly.
Absolutely. But I'm optimistic that we can find that balance
Yeah.
and harness the power of AI for good in healthcare.
Okay, so we've talked about data integrity and explainability and robustness.
Yeah.
Anything else we should be thinking about?
Well, one area that's often overlooked is the user interface.
Okay.
AI systems need to be designed with the user in mind.
Yeah, of course. Like, it doesn't matter how powerful the AI is
Right.
if it's impossible to use.
Exactly. So developers are really focusing on creating interfaces that are intuitive and easy to navigate,
Yep.
and that provide clear and concise information.
So even someone who's not a tech expert can use it.
Right. And it's also about making sure that the AI integrates seamlessly
Yeah.
into the existing workflows.
Right. Like, you don't want it to disrupt
Right.
the way people are already doing their comp.
Exactly. The goal is to make it as unobtrusive as possible.
Right. So it's working in the background,
Yeah.
augmenting human capabilities
Yeah.
without getting in the way. It's pretty inspiring to hear about how AI is being used to improve healthcare.
It is.
And it's reassuring to know that so much thought is going into these quality assurance considerations.
Absolutely. It's an evolving field.
Yeah.
But those core principles of safety and reliability and ethics,
Yeah.
those are always going to be important.
And I think those principles apply to any field where AI is being used,
Oh, absolutely.
whether it's healthcare or manufacturing or transportation or finance.
It's a global challenge
Yeah.
and a global opportunity.
Now, speaking of AI applications beyond
Yeah.
healthcare,
Yeah.
you've also got some interesting stuff here about AI in education.
Right. Another area with huge potential.
Yeah, AI could totally transform the way we learn and teach.
It could.
But again, I'm guessing that quality assurance is just as important.
Just as important, if not more so.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that these systems are accurate and reliable.
Right. We don't want an AI system giving students the wrong grades.
Exactly, or providing biased feedback.
So what are some of the big things to consider with educational AI?
Well, one of the most important things is data privacy.
Okay.
These AI systems collect a lot of data about students.
Yeah, like their grades and their learning styles.
Yeah, their interests.
That's a lot of sensitive information.
It is, and we need to make sure that it's handled responsibly.
Right.
And ethically.
So it's like a balancing act between personalization and privacy.
Exactly. We want to use the data to tailor learning experiences,
Yeah.
but we don't want to violate anyone's privacy.
And are there ways to do that?
Yeah, developers are working on privacy-preserving techniques
Okay.
that allow the AI to learn from the data
Yeah.
without compromising anyone's individual information.
That's good to hear what other quality assurance considerations are there.
Well, fairness is another big one.
Okay.
We need to make sure that these AI systems are equitable.
Right.
And that they don't discriminate against certain students.
Yeah, we don't want them to perpetuate existing inequalities.
Exactly. So developers are working on ways to identify and mitigate bias in these systems.
So it's about using AI to level the playing field?
Right, not to make things worse.
And it's also about making sure that AI supports teachers.
Yeah.
Not replaces them.
Exactly. Teachers are still essential.
Yeah.
And AI should be seen as a tool to help them.
Okay.
Not to replace them.
So it's about making teachers' jobs easier.
Right, giving them more time to focus on the things that humans are really good at.
Like building relationships and inspiring students.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Well, this is all super exciting. To think about how AI could be used to make education more equitable and effective.
I agree. And it's reassuring to know that these quality assurance considerations are being taken seriously.
Okay, so we've talked about AI in healthcare.
Yeah.
We've talked about AI in education.
Uh-huh.
Now, there's another area of your research that I wanted to touch on.
Yeah.
And that's AI in content creation.
Oh, yeah. This is a really interesting one.
It seems like AI is being used to create all kinds of stuff these days.
It is like articles and stories and music and images and videos.
It's amazing and a little bit scary.
It is. The quality of this AI-generated content is improving really quickly.
Yeah, and in some cases, it's getting hard to tell the difference.
Right.
Between human-created content and AI-created content.
Exactly.
So what are some of the key quality assurance considerations here?
Well, one of the most important things is originality.
Oh.
We need to make sure that these AI systems aren't just copying existing content, but that they're actually coming up with new ideas.
So how do you know if an AI is being truly creative?
It's a good question, and it's a tough one to answer.
Yeah.
Because AI systems are really good at recognizing patterns and replicating them.
Yeah.
But true creativity often involves breaking those patterns and coming up with something new.
So how do you train an AI to be creative?
It's tricky. One approach is to expose it to a lot of different data, like really diverse and unconventional data, so it can think outside the box.
Gotcha.
And another approach is to use things like GANs, which are generative adversarial networks.
Okay, I've heard of those.
Yeah, they basically pit two AI systems against each other in a kind of creative arms race.
So it's like two AI artists battling it out.
Exactly.
To see who can create the best artwork.
Right, and it can produce some really amazing results.
Okay, but even if the AI is being creative,
you
still need to make sure that the content it creates is actually good.
Absolutely, and that's where human judgment comes in.
Okay.
We need to have people evaluate the content and provide feedback.
So you can't just let the AI run wild.
Right.
You need to have humans in the loop.
Exactly, to make sure the quality is there.
So it's about setting standards and making sure the AI meets those standards.
And those standards will vary.
Yeah.
Depending on the type of content and who the audience is.
Okay, so we've got originality. We've got quality control.
Right.
What else?
Well, bias is another big one.
Okay.
Just like with those LLMs we talked about.
Yeah.
These AI systems are trained on data.
Right.
And that data can reflect all sorts of biases that exist in society.
So, for example, if the AI is trained on data that's full of gender stereotypes, it might create content that's also sexist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we need to be really careful about the data we use to train these systems. And we need to take steps to mitigate that bias.
It seems like there are a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
Between the quality assurance considerations.
There are.
For AI in different fields.
A lot of overlap.
Whether it's healthcare or education or content creation.
Yeah. Accuracy, reliability, fairness, ethics.
Yeah. Those are important everywhere.
They're universal.
Okay. So we've talked about originality.
Yeah.
Quality control. Bias.
Right.
Anything else we should be thinking about?
Well, intellectual property is a big one. Like, who owns the copyright to AI-generated content?
That's a good question.
It's a tricky one.
Yeah.
Is it the developer of the AI?
Right.
Or the person who used the AI to create it?
Yeah.
Or someone else entirely?
That's a legal and ethical minefield.
It is, and it's something that we're still figuring out as a society.
It's a whole new frontier.
It is.
It's kind of exciting and kind of scary at the same time.
Yeah, AI is reshaping the whole creative landscape.
And AI quality assurance is playing a key role.
It is.
In making sure that this new era of creativity is a positive one.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
But there's one more area I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
And that's the impact of AI on the workforce.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, a lot of people are worried about AI taking their jobs.
And for good reason, AI is going to automate some jobs.
Right.
Especially jobs that are repetitive or that don't require a lot of creativity.
So some jobs are going to be lost.
Yeah, probably. But technology has always disrupted the workforce.
That's true.
Like, think about the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
It led to a lot of job displacement.
Right.
But it also created new industries.
Yeah.
And it ultimately raised living standards.
So it's not just about jobs being destroyed.
Right.
It's also about new jobs being created.
Exactly. AI is going to create new jobs, too.
Okay.
In areas like AI development and data science.
So the key is to adapt.
Yeah.
And to learn new skills.
Exactly. We need to invest in education and training.
Yeah.
So that people are prepared for those new jobs.
And we need to find ways to support people
Yes.
who are displaced by AI.
Absolutely. Whether it's through retraining programs or some kind of social safety net.
Okay. So it's about managing the transition.
Right.
To an AI-powered economy.
Exactly. And making sure that the benefits of AI are shared widely.
No one gets left behind.
Right.
Okay, so we've talked about jobs.
Yeah.
We've talked about ethical considerations.
Uh-huh.
There's one more crucial aspect of AI quality assurance that I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
And that's building trust.
Trust is essential.
Yeah.
If people don't trust AI, they're not going to use it.
Exactly. It doesn't matter how amazing the technology is.
Right.
If people don't feel like they can trust it.
And building trust requires transparency.
Yeah.
People need to understand how AI works,
right?
How it makes decisions, what data it's using.
So it's about demystifying AI.
Exactly.
And making it less scary.
And it's also about being honest about its limitations.
Okay.
AI systems aren't perfect.
Yeah, they can make mistakes.
They can, and we need to be upfront about that.
Okay.
We can't hide the risks.
Right.
Because that will just erode trust even more.
So honesty and openness are key.
Exactly.
And being willing to have those tough conversations.
Yeah.
About the potential downsides of AI.
Building trust is a two-way street.
Okay.
It requires transparency from the developers.
Yeah.
And an open mind from the public.
It's a partnership. And I think that idea of partnership is really important for AI quality assurance in general.
It is.
Like, it's not just up to the experts to figure this all out.
I need everyone involved.
Yeah, researchers, developers, policymakers, the public.
We need to work together.
Yeah, because this is a challenge that affects all of us.
It does. And your research really reflects that. You've got perspectives from all over the world, from different disciplines, from different stakeholders.
It's a truly global effort.
It is.
Okay, so let's take a breath for a second.
Okay.
We've talked about so much.
I know, it's a lot.
The technical aspects of AI quality assurance.
Right.
The ethical considerations.
The impact on jobs.
Yeah, the importance of building trust.
It's a lot to take in.
It's a whirlwind tour of this whole field.
It is.
But we've only just scratched the surface.
AI is still a very young technology.
Right, and it's evolving so quickly.
It's hard to keep up.
So what are some of the key takeaways for our listener who's maybe new to all of this?
Well, I think the most important thing is that AI is here now.
Yeah.
It's not some science fiction fantasy anymore.
It's real.
It's real, and it's already having a big impact on our lives.
Okay.
So we all have a responsibility to make sure
that
it's used ethically.
Right. We can't just sit back and watch.
And we need to be informed and engaged.
And proactive.
Proactive, exactly.
Okay, so be informed, be engaged, be proactive.
Yeah.
What else?
Remember that AI is a tool.
Okay.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
Right.
It's up to us to use it wisely.
So it's not about the technology itself.
Right.
It's about the choices we make.
Exactly.
About how to use it.
And we need to think critically about the impact of those choices.
Right.
On society, on the economy, on the environment.
It's about asking the right questions.
Yes.
Not just finding the right answers.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what kind of future do we want to create with AI?
That's the question.
And how do we get there? Those are the questions we all need to be asking.
I agree.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this part of our deep dive into AI quality assurance.
Sounds good.
We'll be back soon with part 3.
Looking forward to it.
Where we'll continue our exploration of these fascinating and complex issues.
It's going to be great.
So stay tuned.
I will. It's amazing, isn't it?
It really is.
To think about how far AI has come.
Yeah.
Like, it used to be this thing that was just in research labs and science fiction movies, and now it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's becoming a part of our everyday lives.
It is. It's pretty incredible.
It is. But like with any powerful technology, there are risks.
There are definitely risks.
And that's where AI quality assurance comes in.
Exactly. It's about making sure that we're using this technology responsibly, ethically, for the benefit of everyone.
It's not just about making sure it works.
Right.
It's about making sure it works for good.
Exactly. And I think one of the most important things for people to understand about AI quality assurance is that it's not a one-time thing.
Okay.
It's an ongoing process.
So you can't just like check some boxes.
No.
And then forget about it.
You can't just set it and forget it.
Okay.
You need to constantly be paying attention.
Yeah.
Adapting, learning, evolving.
Because the field is constantly changing.
It is changing so fast.
Yeah, and the challenges are changing too.
Absolutely. We need to be ready to adapt our methods, our tools.
Our thinking.
Our thinking
Everything.
So it's about staying ahead of the curve.
Exactly.
Not just reacting to problems after they happen.
We need to anticipate those problems and find solutions before they become crises.
So it's about shaping the future of AI in a way that's beneficial for everyone.
That's the goal.
Okay, so it's not just about fixing bugs.
Right.
It's about making sure that AI is aligned with our values.
From the very beginning. Wow. It's almost like AI quality assurance is a philosophy.
It is, in a way.
Not just a set of technical practices.
It's about asking those big questions.
Yeah.
About what it means to be human.
What kind of future do we want?
Exactly, and how do we use this technology to get there?
Okay, so we've established that this is a complex field.
It is.
It's multifaceted. It's constantly evolving.
Right.
But for our listener who's just tuning in, what are some of the key takeaways?
Well, I think the most important thing is that AI is here now.
There's not science fiction anymore.
It's not.
It's real.
It's part of our world.
And it's having a real impact.
It's changing things.
Yeah, and that means that we all have a responsibility to make sure that it's used responsibly.
We can't just sit back and let it happen.
We need to be engaged.
Engaged, informed.
Proactive.
And proactive.
Okay, so be informed, be engaged, be proactive.
Right.
What else?
Remember that AI is a tool.
Okay.
Like a hammer or a saw.
Right.
It can be used to build something beautiful, or it can be used to cause harm.
It depends on the person using it.
It does.
So it's not about the AI itself.
Right.
It's about how we choose to use it.
Exactly. And we need to think carefully about those choices.
Right.
Because they have consequences.
For ourselves.
For our family.
For society as a whole.
For everyone.
It's about asking those big questions.
Yeah.
About the impact of AI on our world.
Absolutely.
Well, that's a great note to end on.
I think so, too.
It's been a fascinating conversation.
It has.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
It was my pleasure.
And to our listener.
Yes.
Thank you for tuning in to this deep dive.
We hope you learned something.
Into the world of AI quality assurance.
It's a complex topic.
It is, but it's one that affects all of us.
So stay curious.
Stay informed.
Stay engaged.
The future of AI is in our hands.
Let's shape it together.
Until next time.